All right. So if I remember correctly, everything stays from Discord wanted a tutorial on big weapons like hammers, great swords. I don't know, maybe a ball and chain, something. Um, when I was explaining it on my stream, I said it is as simple as slash slash smash. And what I meant by that, to go into better detail now that I'm in the tutorial, is that essentially you can either make the slash huge, right? Right? Because, size usually indicates weight, you know? Or you can make the character have more frame data when interacting with the weapon itself, right? Or you can make the surroundings around the weapon get affected. Now, in this little thing, because, I always do like, not always, I usually do like a little video or a little example, right? Yeah, I'm tired. Just woke up. I usually do an example. In this one, I'm not implementing a smash. I'm just simply implementing weight by showcasing by showcasing it by using the surroundings. So in other words, my method is not frame data or like just super big slashes, but just also something around the character is affected. Now, I'll let this play a little bit, right? It's in 10 frames per second, no, 16 frames per second. So as we can all tell, this looks heavy. The sword looks heavy, right? The moment bro pulls out the ground, sets it on her shoulders, it's heavy. All right. This is what I mean. Now, for the second slash here, right? Because we currently are on only one slash, right? If I was to do another slash, right? You see how there are 3 frames where there's nothing happening? If I was to add a fourth frame here, right? So let me pause this to show. All right, and we're back. So I technically finished this up now to explain my slash slash smash thing, right? So as I said before, the formula is simple: slash slash smash, right? Now I left certain things out to show you what happens when you don't do a certain thing, right? As I said before, there's like 3 things that contribute to great swords or big weapons looking like big weapons, besides just you making them big. All right, and that's them affecting other things. All right, and usually higher frame data. That's really it. So either you make them one big, right, obviously, or you make them have a shit ton of frames on them, right, which makes them slower, or you just simply make the world around it be affected. Now, as you can see, for this example here, when they pick up the sword and slam it on their shoulder, the entire world shakes. The ground under them rumbles, literally comes up, right? And when they do the first slash, same thing happens again. You see a small rumble, right? But for the last 2 slashes, you see no movement at all, and all of a sudden, that weight seems to just magically disappear. Now, by the way, this is what I do for adding weight for everything. Just it's the funniest thing ever. So I just do this. That's it. Just move in one direction. Then I do it again. Usually, I find it best to rumble the screen or move it in the direction that is currently being affected, like the direction it'll be affected in, right? Like this is a downward slash, so naturally the screen would go downward, right? This is an upward slash, so it doesn't really matter, but I still make it go upward just in case. Now that we added those 2 movements, right? Let's see how it looks now. Not any much different, but it's better because now there's weight. By the way, the more extreme you make the rumble, the more weight it adds sometimes. You can make it look very bad if you do it too much, though. Granted, if you do it like multiple times in a row, it does tend to look pretty dang good. So now you can see that the world around it is affected. The rumble makes it to where it has a lot of weight on it. All right, I'm seeing a mistake somewhere. Hold up, I saw a mistake for like a 0.5 a second. There it is. It happens. But yeah, this is what I mean. All right. Excuse this noise. That's my brother. He doesn't know how to be quiet. But yeah, the other thing that you can do is make it to where everything that's hit with the sword literally just dies in a single hit, right? Because damage indicates usually, well, the strength of a weapon, and usually the bigger the weapon, the more strength it has. That's how we usually think about it. Even I think about it that way. That's why I make the great sword large, because it's a strong weapon, right? So this is how it would generally look if you were to do big weapons. And by the way, even if I was to put a hammer here, because keep in mind, this is the weight isn't even coming from the weapon; it's coming from the size of the weapon. But in reality, anything that is attached to a stick like this can essentially be a heavy weapon. Literally, the same formula applies for hammers. If I was to do a hammer, it would literally be the same thing here. I would just change up how this character would pose. All right, that's really it. Like legit. Let me just go to like 1. If I was to put a hammer here, it would literally just be this long ass stick, right? But I would just put like a head of a hammer on the edge of this, like around here somewhere. This is how you generally want to do all heavy weapons in stick notes to keep it simple. All right. The only other thing that you could fiddle with heavy weapons is the character that's actually wielding it. In other words, the posing. All right. Obviously, sometimes when you have a heavy ass weapon, as we were discussing on my stream yesterday with Noel from Genshin, sometimes heavy weapons require you to use the center of gravity that your character has. So in this case, right, if I was to go here, my character is balancing this sword on their back. And in this case, they have to lean forward to keep the balance balanced, right? They go forward with it, right? And then they do a slash, bah, right? But as you can see, in order to do the slash, I make them lean forward. Meanwhile, the sword is going backwards, right? So if I had to put it in momentum terms, that means that my character's momentum is going this way. Meanwhile, the sword's momentum is going this way. You get me? And this is for counter. This is basically for counterweight, but also just make it balance. You get me? This is the center of gravity. The center of gravity is literally the middle of your character, essentially the waist, if you will. And let's pretend that this little line right here is the line of center of gravity, if you will, right? It crosses directly over what you move on the character. This line indicates, this dot, the way you move the stick figure will indicate your center of gravity. All right, that's how I do it. Now I don't usually do all this. I'm just putting it in a visual representation, so that way people who don't get it the way I get it knows what I'm talking about. You get me? So to recap, now that we're hitting an 8-minute mark, okay? While we let this play. For heavy weapons, you want to do 3 things. You can do either one of them, but usually missing 2 of them at a time will result in something looking weird or clunky. All right. You can either make the screen rumble, you can either make the frame data higher, or you can make the surrounding objects, either your character, the weapon itself, or the actual effects or environment, get affected in a drastic way. All right. This means that you can either pose them, make things explode, make things shake, rumble, get destroyed instantly, just disappear on the spot, something. Okay. As so aptly put when I was in stream yesterday, something fucking dies, literally. Okay. Remember, if you are going to be using a big sword, if you want to stay realistic, right, and not just make them do giant slash, you want to stay around the part where you move the character, you know, the node that we use to move the whole character, and treat that as a center of gravity. That way, whenever the character does a slash of any sort that literally is like a forward move, you make the sword go backwards and you make the character's body go forward to counteract the momentum. You do this on literally almost all things. In this case, though, the momentum is traveled completely within the arm of the character. So the momentum would go that, and then down here, right? So the character's arm would still travel like that. Since the sword is still heavy, the character goes down with it. All right. And then just keep it like that. In this case, though, there is no momentum. This is what I call a momentum stopper. When the character hits something that completely stops their momentum, obviously, right? As the name entails. So yeah, this is how you do it. Make it either rumble, interact with something, make it have more frame data. If you really want it to be a heavy object, you can apply the frame data thing to all objects, though, not just big stuff. And of course, make the big weapon big, right? That's what definitely will make it look heavy. Okay. Um, yeah, I think that's as simple as I can lay it out. By the way, when you guys ask me to do tutorials like this, by the way, it's essentially a practice round for me. So that way I can learn how to move my characters. Because obviously I'm having trouble moving characters. I said in stream yesterday. But this looks really dang good, doesn't it, for movement? It looks really good as far as movement goes. But you get my point, right? I digress. All right. Once again, if you guys have any ideas, tutorials, things for a part of something, yada yada yada, let me know. Put it in the comment section. All right. It can literally be anything. It doesn't matter who you are, how long you've been here, what you've been doing, what life is going on. Suggest something. We are a community that likes animating, and in order to stay on top and get constant ideas to supplement our craft, we must support each other. Okay, we must have ideas constantly. So suggest something. All right, I'll look at it, and I might either make a tutorial if someone asks me to, which I will do multiple, or I'll just make whatever you guys suggest for a part of something. All right, see you around.